Now I call this next trim Diagonal Eyelet. This one's good if you want to run a ribbon around an edge. And it's also good because it's such a flat trim. It's very flat and tidy looking. You're just going to cast on 5 stitches. Of course, for some of these trims, you might find it advantageous to start and end on waste yarn, and then you could weave it and knit a couple of rows. Now you're going to use your triple transfer tool throughout, and what you're going to do is move the middle 3 stitches to the left onto this needle here, and make sure you leave the empty needle in work, and knit 2 rows. Do it again. Transfer the middle 3 stitches over to the left one. Make sure you leave the empty needle in work. Now I'm just going to keep going and get enough length on this so you can really see what it's going to look like. So here it is, a wonderful flat trim. I haven't blocked it at all, and you can weave a ribbon or a cord in and out through the eyelet, and then apply this all the way around an edge or a blanket. This next trim is an excellent narrow ruffle. I'm going to begin by E-wrapping around 4 needles. And this one is so very simple. I'm hanging my claw weight over those 4 needles, and my machine is set to knit all the needles. I'll just knit 2 rows to get started. Now for this I only need one tool. It's the triple transfer tool. What I'm going to do is take the 3 needles on the right and transfer those 3 stitches from those needles over by one space, leaving an empty needle in work on the right. This empty needle right here is in B position in work. Knit 2 rows and do the same thing. Take the 3 rightmost needles and move them over, making sure to leave an empty needle in work. Now I'm going to do this many, many times until I reach the length that I desire. Then I'll come back on camera and show you how to make this into a ruffle. This is a really well-behaved ruffle. It doesn't curl up on the edge like so many ruffles do. If you unroll this little thing you have just made, you will see that it has a wide open loop on one side. And here's how you ruffle it. You just use your latch tool to catch one loop at a time and pull it through the loop below, latching this up to make a tight edge on it. And it doesn't take long. These loops were formed by there being an empty needle on the edge of the knitting every single row. I just have to keep unrolling. It does have a tendency to roll because it's longer on one side, which is what you want in a ruffle. If you need a wider ruffle, you're going to have to transfer more stitches every time. I have a 7-stitch transfer tool, so I could have a 7-stitch ruffle. Anyway, if I undo this, of course it would be perfectly cute, left rolled up. But if I undo it to sew it on something as a ruffle, see what a great little ruffle that makes? So there's the ruffle trim. Now I'm going to demonstrate making a wider ruffle. I have E-wrapped on, I have hung a hanger and a little bit of weight, and I'm knitting the second of the 2 rows to get started. Now I'm going to do my first transfer. You need a 7-stitch transfer tool, or you have to transfer in more than one session. And all I do is go to the rightmost of my 8 needles and pick up 7 of them, transfer them onto the tool, and then I manipulate the tool so that I leave those latches open. I take 1 step to the left and put the tool on all of the hooks, except of course the rightmost one, which I vacated. Oh, I dropped a stitch. I'll just grab it. And fix it. There we go. Now, here's the key thing. You have to leave this rightmost needle out in work, and then you knit 2 rows. By having an empty needle in the working position, I created a loop here, which is what I wanted. Now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take the rightmost 7 stitches, move them in by 1, and transfer all those stitches, and make sure and leave this rightmost empty needle in work, and knit 2 rows. Now I'm just going to do this over and over until it's long enough. And I'll be back, I'll latch it up and show you how this ruffle looks. Now here's what my strip looks like that's 8 stitches wide, and if I go ahead and gather this one up by latching this outside loop, I will get a very, very gentle ruffle. So I'll get that all latched up and show it to you. So here's what that gentle ruffle is like, and it'll curl if you want a scarf, and of course you can make it a little flippier with just a little bit of blocking. Now what if you want a tighter ruffle? What if you want it to be more extreme? I'm going to unlatch this, just to unravel this, and show you another way to do this. If you want a tighter one, take 2 loops onto your hook, then slide in and take 2 more loops onto your hook and pull through 2 through 2. Now let me get 2 more and pull 2 through those 2. Now this will be very, very ruffly. Just a few more to go. Now you have a completely different effect. You still have these wonderfully flat ruffles that don't curl even though I didn't do any blocking. But you also have a really nice bouncy amount of ruffle. So that's how to do a wider one. You could go as wide as you wished.